Hi, I'm Leslie Meredith with Breakbulk Events and Media, and I have another member of our panel focused on operations. This is Dan Greenberg from Santini Packing Corporation, right? Did I get it? Okay. Well, welcome, Dan. It's good to have you here.
Nice to be here.
So, give us sort of a synopsis of what you spoke about this morning.
Okay, well, I spoke about best practices in export packing. And not only in my presentation, but I thought it was unique that we had 4 different people from 4 different perspectives. And the one thing that was common between all 4 of us was the emphasis on safety. Each one of us had a segment on safety, which one wouldn't normally think of in terms of, when you're looking at the details of a best practice. But in this particular case, it's become so important.
Now, is that a change?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we always concerned ourselves with safety, but never to the level that we do so now. But in terms of best practices in packing, what I tried to bring forth during my 10 minutes was that there's no single solution to satisfy export packing. There are photographs and pictures, and we have everything you could imagine, from helicopters to pipe to structural steel to large oil field units, and there's no way you can say there's one best practice that will encompass all those different kinds of materials. So what I talked during my segment was about knowing what you're shipping, knowing where you're shipping it to, knowing how it's going to be picked up, received, and moved, and the different kinds of conveyances that it's moving on, whether it's road, barge, ocean vessel, and mostly trucks, because almost everything starts and ends with a move by truck. Whether it's going to be received into a modern warehouse, or whether it's going to be received into a bulldozed area in the jungle on the side of a river.
Sure.
Okay? So all of these things enter into your calculation of what you have to do, and each is a best practice segment for the particular commodity.
Well, that's interesting. It sounds like, I mean, maybe sometimes you get all that information, but I imagine oftentimes you have to initiate those conversations.
Well, often we're quoting things totally in the blind. Someone says, I have a piece, and it is 8 meters long and 4 meters wide and 4 meters tall and weighs 40 tons.
That could be a lot of different things.
Yeah, how much is it going to cost to pack? Okay.
Okay.
So consequently, we're just guessing. But by the time you see the material, there's no longer an opportunity for guesswork. You have to know what you're doing. And then you must ask the questions that sometimes the shipper doesn't know the answer to. The shipper may be a seller to a foreign buyer, and he has no idea what the conditions of receipt of the cargo are going to be. So you have to keep digging and digging and digging until you get the answer. One thing that came out in the surveying segment was there's a big difference between lifting something with a single hook versus a 2-hook lift. So we have to know how it's going to be received at the destination to design the box so that it's applicable, or in some cases we don't know, so we have to design the box so it can be lifted either way.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Well, it's the real world as opposed to the theoretical.
What we'd like it to be.
One of the speakers mentioned that these things that we move, the cargo breakbulk cargo, is designed for function, not for transportation.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
We see that every day.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us.